This is The Roadmap with Lee Heisman.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Roadmap, exclusively here on ASBN.com. I'm Lee Heisman, and every week we bring you some of the brightest entrepreneurs, CEOs, business owners who are climbing the ladder, scaling their businesses, and thinking one day how to exit stage left. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a special guest, Tara Garrett, CEO and founder of Food Truck South. Tara, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little about your history. Prior to getting into and opening up Food Truck South in 2011, talk how this journey started for you.
Okay, so kind of grew up in the restaurant industry. My dad had restaurants, was really part of it my whole life. Worked through pretty much high school and through college in the restaurant and bar industry.
What city were you in?
Atlanta.
Okay, yep. So you're local.
Yeah, yep.
Oh my God, few and proud.
Born and raised,
stand.
yes.
Yeah.
Been here forever. Kind of worked in the bar scene early on, and then really throughout college, just kind of, paying my way through school with work in that industry. So definitely grew a love for it, learned a lot, gave me a lot of opportunities, I feel like. Had my son around 21, and it allowed me to kind of stay home with him and, work on the weekends and things like that.
So your son is only 5 or 6 years old now?
Yeah,
okay.
or 22.
Okay, fair.
So yes, I was always super thankful for that industry. Learned a lot about myself and learned a lot about customer service and taking care of people, and that's really kind of where it started.
Well, you have to cut your teeth somewhere, right? And you have to learn it from the ground level.
Yes.
Did you have any challenges at that time? I mean, look, you're a very successful female founder, which is very rare. It's not common, as you know. What were some of the challenges being a female in this industry that you found?
Honestly, I feel like I had an advantage, to be very honest with you.
Please.
I do. I think coming in, a lot of times people would be a little uncomfortable if it was a woman in this industry, but I think we really started off with kind of mom and pop businesses, and a lot of people getting in this industry were women that wanted to open a restaurant, didn't have the funds or wasn't able to open a brick and mortar, so they came my way. So I think early on that helped me. And even throughout the period of time, I really, we kind of built a reputation. We got these great trucks out there, and they spoke for themselves, right?
Well, let's go back to that. So I want to jump into 2011. Don't fast track it. What prompted you to open this organization?
So, like I said, I've been in the industry before. My dad actually he was trying to get a food truck within his business years ago. Got a food trailer, kind of went through a lot of struggles trying to get one. He bought a used one. There was issues with it. And really just went through that journey with him.
So you said two different things, food truck and food trailer. Are there differences?
They are. So a food truck is actually a truck on wheels, already fabricated out. And a trailer is you hook it up to a truck and you pull it.
So there are two different things very
Absolutely,
separately.
yes.
So he was trying to get a food trailer.
He was, because the cost of a food truck, even back then, was pretty expensive. And he started off in a couple of trailers, and it was nonstop problems. You don't know what you're getting. You people have
like what? What kind of problems?
Electrical issues, not being able to pass inspection with the health department. You don't think about those things if you don't have the knowledge of that.
So you had a front row seat to this, watching your father do it.
Yes.
Was that the inflection point for you to want to open this business?
I think so, and I think it was more about putting the whole package together for people instead of just building a truck or building a trailer or selling something used. Is really putting the whole package together. Going over health inspection with them, teaching them how to do all these things so that when they get out there, they can be successful.
Wow. Okay, so take us on the journey where you're working for someone else, and then you just wake up in 2011 and say, I need to make a change?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit slower than that. I think I was always looking for something else to do. And I think it's what I knew best, the restaurant industry as a whole. And I think that I felt it was kind of a translation over to what I was doing into something that I saw that there was a demand for and a need for, more of a quality build. There's been builders around for a long time, and when we started off at the first year, we were doing used trucks. And then within the second year, we partnered up with Ford and started selling the Ford chassis to them and having Morgan Olson build our bodies out. So they're a lot larger than a traditional box truck. So you have a lot more room and space in there.
So you're customized, because early on you said you were just
Yes.
dating used ones. Are you revamping them, renovating them?
Yes.
How does it work?
So basically it was an empty truck we would get sourced from a fleet, from a flour truck or, something like that, FedEx trucks, and then do our build outs in there. Same build out.
So you're taking basic trucks. And again,
Yes.
you live in this world, but you have to consider a lot of
Yes.
people don't understand the details. So you're taking a basic truck, whether it be a FedEx truck, a flour truck, But you're making these in the food truck, so you have to have working stoves and water, electrical. Is that accurate?
That's correct. So you're really building a full kitchen, electrical, plumbing, walls, ceiling, floors. It's really a kitchen on wheels. So you're fabricating the whole kitchen.
Tara, I find this really funny with successful entrepreneurs like yourself, and that's what the roadmap's about, is you just say, oh, we just rebuild and it's there. And you just snap your fingers
Right.
and you make it seem so easy, but it doesn't seem like it's easy to do that.
It's not. That's why I think we've been so successful, because a lot of people will start off doing these things and not realizing that there's a right way to do them, especially when you're running electrical and you're running plumbing and things like that. So, I mean, we've been doing almost 15 years. So at this point, it's kind of copy paste for us, even though we're custom builders. But it's not that simple. That's why you see a lot of these trucks on the road that are struggling. They're buying these trucks and they're getting out there and they can't pass inspection with the health department and they can't operate, and they're upside down.
So go back to that. You're right. It is rinse, wash, repeat, copy and paste, but there's no way that it was early on. And you said, you make it sound easy, and I'm going to keep pushing back on you because you're taking for granted all of your hard work.
Yeah.
And you're taking for granted you probably haven't gotten this good without all the mistakes where you've learned.
100%.
So talk about, the electrical or the water. What were the mistakes that you've made early on when you were trying to do these things where we can't do that again? That was a mess. Can you talk about those?
Sure. I think in the beginning we would used to hire an electrician that came in on the side, kind of put some stuff together, and would be in and out. So if you had problems, my guys couldn't, determine where it came from because they weren't actually running that electrical. So, we kind of pivoted from that and started doing everything in-house.
So you had to go hire electricians and hire the workers that do this.
Well, really just the electrical part. Our guys did all the fab work, right? But the electrical aspect.
How about plumbing?
We would do that too.
You would do that as well?
Because that's not as difficult, I feel like,
So did you have any major challenges with some of the errors and mistakes where you're like, wow, I got to bring this one back in, this isn't really profitable? Did you have questions where you weren't going to do this anymore?
No, I think once we really moved into the new truck thing, things changed. I think the used truck, it was kind of like, we were selling this truck, and then, obviously it's used, so we always had that worry, like mechanically with the truck is where the issues would lie, right? Not so much our build out. Everything's new, we know what we're doing. I think that's in that second year we were like, this just isn't worth it. We don't have the peace of mind. We say everything inside is warranted, our work is warranted, but what if their truck breaks down?
Yes.
They're out, right? They can't operate.
Absolutely. So, when we just talked the other day, which was amazing, and I love the design of your trucks, and you
Thanks.
mentioned
Thank you.
the city of Naples where you were going,
Yes.
Which is, how long is that drive from Atlanta?
10 hours.
Okay, so 10 hours. So we were having a casual conversation. You said, okay, well, I'm leaving tomorrow to deliver a truck to what considered I'm going to go to Dawsonville, an hour away.
Right.
I'll be right back, and I'll see you on Thursday, is what you said. And I said, well, wait, where are you going? You said Naples. And I said, first, those trucks look amazing, and I'm sure our producing team will put these out on the imagery as we're talking. What's it like for you as an entrepreneur to go, I'm just going to get in the car, I'm going to go trad this down and then drive back? Is this common?
So typically I'll have a shipping company ship it, but I always do the walkthrough with my customers. So if they aren't, and the walkthrough is really like going over the truck, showing them how to use everything. Even if you have a brick and mortar, operating a food truck is completely different, right?
How is it different? Explain.
It's just, running propane. If you're in a brick and mortar, you just turn your stove on and you have access to gas, right? You run propane, you're running the truck on a generator, learning how to operate the generator, service the generator, winterizing the truck, cleaning out the fresh tank, waste tank. There's so many things that in a regular restaurant you don't have to do. You kind of take it for granted, right? So we kind of go through all that, a training process with them. So I never let a truck go out. Even if they're far, I'll usually fly down or drive down and do the walkthrough. It so happened that this company called me and gave me 6 days to build this whole van out because they needed it for their grand opening. And we had actually built for Naples in July, and they saw a VW restored van we had done and liked it. So
it's beautiful. It absolutely is
thank you.
eye-catching.
It really is cute. It turned out awesome. So they needed it in 6 days, and I said, okay. So I didn't have time to ship it, so I drove it down myself.
So when do you say not okay? When do you, again, as an entrepreneur, we say yes to everything,
Yes,
right? We're
yes.
always accommodating. We have to be this kind of the spirit of who we are as entrepreneurs. Have you had moments which helped grow your business? Because you've been doing this for 14 years.
Yeah.
And you've evolved, right? Don't take for granted the times you want to say yes to everything. When
Yeah.
have you said no? When are things that didn't work for you in the business?
I think when certain expectations are just not there. I think as far as what you want to do, we can build it. You know, I think early on we did food trucks, and then people started coming to us, seeing our trucks and saying, well, we want a boutique truck, or we want a dental office, or we want a Botox truck. And I always say, okay. And I think that kind of got us into that field, because I always would say yes. No is when I don't feel like they're ready. A lot of my customers say to me all the time, why are you talking me out of a deal, right? All the time. And I'm like, I feel like you're not there yet. You know, our trucks they're top of the line. I say they're Mercedes-Benz of food trucks, and they truly are, right? It's not for everyone to go in a truck. That's why we started building trailers, to kind of give that entry-level option. So a lot of times I will tell a customer, like, I don't think this is a good fit for you to jump into a truck. You don't have a customer base. Like, let's start small, build you up, and I'll build you a truck one day. I just don't want you to get in it and be upside down or not be able to be successful, you know?
What a great consultative approach. That's the expertise and
He
experience.
gets so mad. I had a guy the other day. He's like, why are you telling me? So I'm not telling you can't have a truck. I'm just saying, do you think that this is going to be financially beneficial for you?
Sure.
Let's look at a trailer. You can save X amount of dollars going this route. You have a great menu, you have great service, you're going to make the same money, right?
It's amazing that the scarcity that you do, it makes them want them more, right? It's like, I
true.
want it more.
Yeah.
So think of the staff around you. How important has your staff been to you?
Oh my gosh. So my guys have been there for over 10 years.
10 years.
Yes.
How do you maintain that? You know, in the world of people jumping ship and,
Yeah.
you know, attention spans are really tiny. How do you keep that level of loyalty?
I don't know. I'm so blessed. I mean, I'm very honest. Like, the guys that we've kept this whole time are just ride or die. I say that the other day at 10 p.m. we got to get this truck out. You know, our guys are done at 4:30. We're not ready. So one of my guys was like, stayed till the end, till 10 o'clock. A few weeks ago, we had a truck. They missed the deadline, and I said, if I tell a customer it's going out, it's going out, and they know that. So he and I worked till 4:15 in the morning.
No.
Yes, he got there at 6 a.m. We worked till 4:15 in the morning. Customer came at 7 a.m., but he stayed the whole time with me. We were in that truck, both of us together. So that the loyalty, I am so grateful for. That's why we are where we are. 100% is the
So
staff.
you're so humble because you're like, I don't know how. You're being very humble or why they stay around. If I were to interview your staff and ask them right now, what is the one thing you'd change about Tara? What would that be?
Depends on who you asked. One of
give me a
my
few
best
answers.
friend works for me. She's worked with me for a long time. We've been friends for 25 years. She's like my right hand. She's amazing. Her thing is, she says, I don't put my foot down enough. That's pretty much where she would come from. The other guys would probably just be like, oh, she's great. That's it. You
So
know?
nothing to change. Nothing to
I'm
change.
sure you would have to ask them. I think a lot of it is, I do sometimes bring in these crazy expectations, but I do it because I know they're capable. And just like this van that went out, we finished at the 11th hour, but we did it. And I think it proves to them, you know, how knowledgeable that they are, you know, and I feel like, because they're proud of it. Every time we put something out that we have this crazy deadline, it's like they look at it and they're like, okay, we did this.
So let me ask you a weird question. I hadn't planned on this one, but I'm thinking about it. Accidentally, about a year ago, one of our dogs had puppies. And after we delivered, I looked up on YouTube how to deliver dogs. I delivered 7 puppies.
Yes.
I had a reunion of the puppies and the parents a year later, which was so fun. Have you ever considered a reunion of all your food trucks to come
That
back
is
to
so
one location?
crazy. Yes. I
Really?
literally had this thought the other day about doing a dinner, because our customers, I mean, I still talk to them all the time. Literally, my customers will ask me, oh, do you think this menu item's good? And I built 5 years ago for them. Or they'll call and ask for advice, or they'll have, you know, we do a lot of repair and maintenance at our shop, so we see them on a regular basis. But I did have that exact thought, like we should do like a dinner, host a dinner for our clients to come in.
All the food trucks.
Yeah.
Maybe have a band.
Yes.
Just do an event.
I love that
the
idea.
Food Truck South event.
Yes,
All
I
your
love
trucks
that.
come in, have a band. Well, I hope to get an invitation now since we came up with this together.
Well, yes, you really came up with that part.
No,
so.
no, it was just my puppy thought
Yes.
of like, I want the reunion. I want everybody to see everybody again.
I love that.
So let me ask you a question. What is the future? Our time is wrapping up. Time flies.
Sure.
What is your future?
So I think it's just really more evolving more. Like I said, we do food trucks, but we do a lot of other mobile units post-COVID. I think COVID really catapulted us into other areas other than just food trucks. So for me, it's more, we're kind of known as like, oh, she's a food truck builder, which is great. That is our bread and butter. It's got us to where we are. But I think for me, it's really opening the doors to doing more mobile stuff. We've worked with FEMA before, we've worked with the government, things like that. You want a mobile laundromat, we can build it. You want a mobile doctor's office, dentist's office, all those things that we have the capability of doing all that. So that's the direction I really want to.
That's a great idea.
Kind of go into.
And it sounds like, and I've looked at your product, the other than the functionality, the visual of it is really, really important. And those other businesses, it may not be important to be as visually, but as functional might be the priority.
Absolutely.
Well, this is why we're doing the show today, so we can get this out into the marketplace about where you want to grow to. So Tara, how do people get in touch with you? If they want to meet you in general, again, strong, as I mentioned, I have 3 daughters, strong female influence is very impressive as a young lady to be in the business space, which usually is dominated by men in terms of just the entrepreneurial world. But I love to see powerful women. And again, a shout out to Clifco, right?
Yes,
because
definitely.
if you go to a Clifco event,
Yes.
the diversity of gender and just everything across the board, age, there's no theme there.
Right.
It is such a variety of people. So how do people get in touch with you?
They can call me. I can run my business on my cell phone. I always have, answer every single call. They can call me. They can go to our website.
What's your cell phone number?
It's 678-629-7463.
And the website?
It is foodtruckswithans.south.com.
That's wonderful. Tara Garrett, what a treat today.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. I hope the show was as insightful for you as it definitely was for me. We hope to see you again next week for another episode of The Roadmap.
Thanks for watching The Roadmap with Lee Heisman.